Let the horse ride.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Handicappers Corner. I'm Mike Heads, along with Drew Forster. We're going to go through the Saturday, June the 2nd races at Hastings Racecourse. We do have 8 thrillers for you. It should be a lot of fun today.
I hope you enjoyed our interview with
the Moj. He's
always
a cool guy.
Really good guy, always very entertaining. And let's get right to it. First race.
Daily double.
Fillies and Mares, claiming 7,500, going a mile and a tick. And I've gone with the 4 Diva Ballerina. Horse has been on a roll this year. Third first out, then banged off 2 wins. She's going right up the ladder. The Norway's the year for 3, Norway's the year for 5. Logical step into the 7,500 Fillies and Mares. Got a great record at the distance. 8 starts, 3 wins, 3 seconds, and a third. The distance not going to bother her at all. She finds herself in a new barn for the
third straight time.
Same rider, though. Amadeo keeps sticking with her. So I think she's a logical choice here. I have Diva Ballerina on top. Second spot, I have a horse that's going to love the distance, is Scopa. She ran in the non-wars of the year, 7,500 non-2, non-3 last time. So it was a conditional race. But going short, she made a big move to get there and win. The horse that she beat, Dream in the Dark, came back and absolutely crushed him last weekend, ran a big race. So I like Scopa quite a bit. And the third spot, I have Greg Tracy horse that just win that 5 condition, that non-wars of the year for 5, Jim and Peg's Gal. I'm not really sure what to think of her because that was a funny race. There was a bit of a wreck in that race, and there was basically just her and our Dubai Girl left, and she outran our Dubai Girl. But Greg Tracy's rolling along. He brings in Rico Walcott this weekend to ride for him. Have that one in third. Yeah.
I had a lot of trouble with it. 5-horse races, and this is probably the one I sat there and changed my selections about 3 or 4 different times. There's no speed in this race. I mean, I think the 3 Princess Rainier is going to get the lead.
Yeah.
This mare Ken, Rout, and Pedro's, I'm certain going to put her on the lead, and I'm going to hope that he can boot her all the way around. I'm going to try Princess Rainier to win it. It's a bit of a price, but she's come back to work well. The time was slow that she won last time, going 6 furlongs, but the track was quite glib that day. It was a 21 variant, you'll notice. For those of you that follow variants, 21 is about as slow as we get here. So don't put a lot of stock into that, but Princess Rainier ran a better race than it looks like. I think she's going to get the lead, and anytime she's been near the lead, she's run near Diva Ballerina in the past, and I don't know, she might just a little more value maybe. I put Odd ZZ in for second, taking the class draw from 12.5 down here for 7,500. Absolutely didn't blow the start, but it was impeded. It was Olive. There was a horse clipped heels of Olive at leaving the gate, and cost her 3 or 4 more lengths, and she was farther back than she should have been. But she gets to stretch out. She doesn't win very often, that's the only problem. But still a filly that's running against easier competition. And I put the 4 Diva Ballerina in for third. I could make a case for Scopa and Jim and Peg's Gal. As I mentioned, I just tossed and turned. I scribbled out picks. I had it 1-5-2, and then a half an hour later I had it 5-2-1. But anyway, I ended up on the 3-horse Princess Rainier in a very difficult Saturday opener. On to the second race. We've got some 2-year-olds for you here, going 3.5 furlongs. 20 grand is the claiming price. I went to the 6-horse, Take a Back Road. Really not, obviously there's only 1 horse that started in the race. You got 7 first-timers. And really respect Greg Tracy's ability to get 2-year-olds ready to run. He does a lot of gait schooling. He does a ton of gait working. He gets horses to run well early in their careers. And even though this horse's works aren't super fast, I still think this horse will be pretty live. Rico Walcott in to ride, clear the runway in the stake race, so he picks up all the Greg Tracy horses today. But I went with the 6 Take a Back Road. I put Tack Inaway's Little Miss Bean in for second. Very quick works. I don't know how she's going to be out of the gate, but filly by Mass Market. Been pretty fast from the pole anyway. We'll see if she's fast from the gate. And I put number 8, Second Eclipse, in for third out of the mare Devil's Eclipse, who had some speed for KK Singera, and Harold Barabee trained the filly as well. And this is her, I guess, second full. Decent works, a nice half there at 49.4 to the gate. I like the outside draw. Amadeo gets in the tack. That was enough for me to slide her in for third. But I do like Greg Tracy's Take It Back Road. I went 6, 7, 8.
This is one where I kept picking different horses, and I kept changing my pick. And I went with Serendipity Grove out of the Nancy Betts barn. Gets Pedro, as we mentioned earlier for the Friday card, really good 3.5 rider. That 36-2 looks really good. That was nice work, going pretty much this distance. That's how I ended up on this horse. The 36-2 I think is good enough probably to put him right in the thick of this race. I do have the Greg Tracy horse, Take It Back Road, in second. That's another one that I did have on top, and then I kept thinking, kept looking. And in the third spot, I put Crypto Magic out of the Lenore Dubois barn because it had the start. Yeah. And I think with
Horses
2-year-olds, with 2-year-olds, it's you can't really overestimate what an advantage it is to have a start. And that was a pretty tough race with Foxy Rocket in there, Market Way, I Want to Dust. There's some nice horses in there. Now she drops into the $20,000 maiden 3.5. So I ended up 4-6-2 for me.
Yeah, you ask any trainer that the second start for 2-year-olds, they break amazingly better. And so now this is her second start and everyone else's first start. So that's a big edge. Having a start under your belt, you went through the whole paddock, post-parade gate, and the whole experience of running in a race. And now you're just probably you're way more focused.
A little bit more mature,
second time out, you're not so awestruck, and like many of the firsters are. But it's even good to go with horses that had a poor first start. And when running against horses,
exactly, even if it wasn't a stellar first performance, they've been through it.
At least if they had been working well prior, sometimes they'll come back and run a big one. But yeah, I don't mind that horse either.
Yep. And on to the third, maiden optional 40,000 for fillies and mares. Basically maiden special weight here. It was 30. They've changed it to optional 40. And I've gone with the 7 Revster. This is a horse that looks like it's going to be a very short price. One of the probably better bets on the card. This filly just can't seem to get out of trouble. It seems like every time she runs, she's in some kind of trouble, and still is like getting there, just missing, or running good seconds. Just seems like she keeps getting in trouble. The first start, she ran second. Ann Seedy, who came back and won the allowance race last week. I think with a clean trip, she's on the outside this time. Nice in the 7-hole, so I think that gives her a pretty clean trip this time.
You would hope, one would think.
Yeah, and I'd say that she's the horse to beat. The second spot, I have Graffiti Grace, another one that's been running just behind Revster, been knocking on the door. This one is a lot of kind of inexperienced horses, or kind of question marks in here, and this would be one of the easier fields I think she's faced. So I think she moves up quite a bit there. And in the third spot, I have Tricky Mind, a horse that just got beat for maiden 20. She does jump up into the maiden special weight category, but as I said, I don't think this is a really tough maiden special weight.
No, it isn't.
And,
come up pretty easy.
Yeah, and off that race, I think that puts her right in the thick of it.
Yeah, I got the same 3. I'm not going to go into because I like all 3 horses for exactly the same reasons you do. Revster, Green, very hopefully gets better. This horse continues to find trouble, but still a very gifted filly that should win soon. Graffiti Grace, a good race, despite going 3 wide, better draw might be enough to get her in the circle. And number 1, Tricky Mind, like you said, good run. I know it was for maiden 20, but this isn't a tough maiden optional, so she's got speed. That might be enough. One horse I might quickly touch on just before we move on to the 4th. This is 6 horse, 1 Austin Promise. Good pedigree. Don't give up on her just after 1. As we just mentioned, first time out.
Start,
It's just, she went through the whole, now she gets blinkers, might see a better performance from affiliate spread to be a lot better. So don't give up on her just off of 1 subpar
she definitely wins the breeding crown.
Yes, that's right. But we both agree on the 7 Revster. On to the 4th, we do a nice optional 50 here for 3-year-olds. Non-winners of 1 other than 6.5 furlongs is the distance. I've gone to the 5 Unquiet. Not totally sold that he's going to be able to win it, but I did pick him. He got a pretty comfortable lead against Clear the Runway. Clear the Runway did end up running him down, but still he held for second in the Jim Coleman province. And he's done nothing wrong this year. He's had a win in a second, and he likely will get the lead again. There is the threat of the 1 Lucky Moly Minor or the 7 Mr. Jigsaw putting pressure on, but Unquiet looks pretty fast, and I think he's going to be maybe too tough to catch. But the 4 Brass and Gold in for second. I thought a pretty comfortable win over Deputy's Command, who has since come back to win, as well as Congrats Man, who came back to win the next time he ran. But both horses that ran behind Brass and Gold have come back to win. He's had a long time in between races, though, but he's been working and steadily, and might get a. If he gets someone to go with Unquiet, then I can see him winning. If nobody
Give
goes with
something to run at,
Unquiet, then it could be tough. He might be just running for second money. And I put the Troy Taylor runner, number 2, Times Was On, in for third. Had every shot to beat the Gov, wasn't good enough. Maybe doesn't want to route. I don't know. Back to a sprint. Maybe that'll be his whole card. But I do like Unquiet. 5-4-2.
I went with a 3, the Greg Tracy horse. Gimme Dat. Just because it's a horse that hasn't done anything wrong, right?
Undefeated.
3 times, 3 wins. Doesn't look like maybe you've seen the best of him, right? He's done everything asked of him. A horse like this sometimes, will surprise you when you jump him up a little bit into a tougher race. You might be up to the task.
Yeah.
Greg Tracy's, as we mention all the time, is a very capable horseman. All his horses, they all look good. They all come out running.
They're live.
They're always very live. Rico Walcott, he came in here a few weeks ago for Greg and just cleaned up. He comes back this weekend, as you said, for a couple stakes, or for the stake today, and
Yep.
a bunch of horses for Greg. So I do have him on top. In the second spot, I put Time Goes On. I thought he would have had a better shot in that last race if there's a horse that day named Timberon that scratched, and he was another speed horse. And the Gov kind of got a really easy lead, right? They went in 49-2, and Time Goes On was just laying off of him. And when he tried to run him down, then he had a fresh horse to run down. So I think he would have even been better in that race if there was something to run at. The route to sprint angle I always like. He comes back sprinting, so I have him in the second spot. And I have your Unquiet. Probably doesn't deserve maybe even to be in the third spot. I should have him a little higher up in my picks. But I do have him in the third spot, and he figures to be really tough in here as well.
Yeah, I think those are the ones of the 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's just a matter of which one does win it. Just I'm leaning to Unquiet just because of the pace scenario, but certainly Gimme Dat could win it. Done nothing wrong. He's 3 for 3.
Yeah. On to the third race, 3 and up maiden 3,000 for boys, and I've gone to near the outside, the 9 Ice Tiger. Horse we both liked the first time it ran for maiden 5 out of the Terry Clyde barn. Made the lead at some point that day. It was a little bit green. As we say, first start out. He's had a little time off. That was a little over a month ago. Shows back up now for 3,000. I think with a race under his belt, coming back for a little step lower, I think that puts him right in the thick of this. I think he's going to be really tough. I like Ice Tiger. The second spot, I have another horse that's going to be one of your favorites, is Leighton Storm. As we said, the Red Hot, Amadeo, William Levanaway connection. First up for 17.5, just gets beat by some decent horses. Comes back, kind of ran a flat race in that maiden 10. Now he drops way down to the maiden $3,000 level. I think he fits pretty snugly in here. And in the third spot, I have a horse out of the Craig McPherson barn, number 10, Silent Flame. Another guy who's really capable to have him ready first out. Gets a 10 hole is not great. Yeah. But for horses, there's not a lot of tough horses in here. Being maiden 3,000, a lot of times I'll look for a horse that maybe hasn't proved that he's talented, not so talented, as maybe some of these. So first start, I'll give him a nod for third. Get him there for the third spot.
Yeah, no, the horse has a shot. Got a decent pedigree, good barn, and that's all you can ask sometimes in these maiden $3,000s. Because a lot of them have had some chances and haven't been able to get the job done. I went to the 5 Leighton Storm, not sold on it. I don't love the horse at all, but I did pick it. Just in a race that I would not stand alone with him, though. I would play 3 or 4 in the race. I picked Leighton Storm just because he had the 11 hole last time against 10 Grand Claimers, and it was a lot tougher company. He's down for 3. I know William's been pretty aggressive this year, and that's why he's winning at a pretty high rate.
Yeah.
Put the 3 Finally Proud in for second out of a good mare, Proud Bella. Know her quite well. She won quite a few races, and this filly's been running for more money, or gelding, pardon me, been running for more money as well, and gets a drop in class, a much needed drop in class. But I wasn't disgracing that Notice Sal Friar Tuck race. I thought a week and a bit ago, because the 6x7 wasn't bad. It was slop. It was 3 wide much of the race. She held her own, and a lot of these horses, if they had a similar trip, would have been 6 by 20 lengths, and she hung in pretty good at 6x7.
Yeah.
And
not too bad for
Pedro rides. This filly's shown some ability in the morning, so I'm going to give her a shot. And I put Ice Tiger in for third out of the Terry Clyde barn. That was enough for me. Good runner, good run first time out. Showed some speed. Flattened out a bit late against Mass Mailing, but did at least run against 2 next out winners, Eustonia and Ice Rules, so that's a positive there. But a race I didn't love at all. They went 5-3-9, and I don't mind your 10 Silent Flame at all. I think if you even the 2 horse, the filly, Pay Me Notice, might want to toss in there. Definitely the toughest race in the pick 4 or pick 5. So. Pay attention in this one. You could get a good price.
Absolutely.
On to the 6th race. We'd have some 3,000 claimers going 6.5 furlongs. And a full boat of them here. We got one waiting to get in. Sufi Dancer. We got 12 of them.
There is a scratch in here too. I got a scratch report. The 2 horse Oh to Be Lucky.
Oh to Be Lucky.
Pat Jarvis's charge is out.
Okay, but I went to the 6 evaluate. Logical pick, good runner-up effort to Passion Red. Pretty classy horse, Passion Red. He had won for more money, so it wasn't surprising to see Evaluate not be able to get by him. So I think he's going to win today, Evaluate. I put the 11 Modest Dancer in for second. I thought a pretty good run behind Good, Bad, and Ugly, Tease the Tiger, and Swongs. Had every shot to win that day, but still just couldn't quite get by. But they went in 17.
Yeah.
He still has to negotiate a trip from the 11 hole, though. That's the concern for me. And I put the 7 horse Forceful Intention in for third. A pretty cool horse out of the Arnie Turner barn. He's bred and raised the horse and made a lot of money. 174 grand is Forceful Intention, and makes his first start of the year. But he can fire fresh. He's had a string of good works, and Enrique Gonzalez rides. So I'm going to try 6, 11, and 7 in another difficult race.
Absolutely. I'm right with you. I had the 6 picked and I changed.
Yeah.
I went with the 11. I went with Modest Dancer just because I really like that Good, Bad, and Ugly, Tease the Tiger. Before that, he got beat by Peace Bear.
Yeah, no, he's a good quality competition.
Jumped up and win for 12.5. So the 11 hole isn't ideal, naturally, but I still think he's I just really like the horse. I think he's a hard knocker, and I think he fits really good into this category. So I put him on top. Evaluate, obviously, real tough guy. I have him in second spot. And Forceful Intention, same things you just mentioned. Hard knocking class old horse. It is first out of the box for him, which is a little tougher this time of year when everybody's had a race or 2 under their belt. But he's definitely got the ability to be competitive in a field like this.
Yeah, I agree. No, he's a cool horse, and he's got some speed. He doesn't always need the lead, but he's a horse that can flash some speed. He's cut some pretty good fractions in the past, and we'll see how the race does shape up.
And on to the third, the...
7th.
7th, sorry. Did I say third?
Yeah, that's right. Third.
7th.
It's a stake. The River Rock.
It's a little bit different than the third. 7th race, the River Rock. One of our preps along the way to the BC Derby. 3-year-old stake, $50,000. And really good race. Competitive type field, I feel. And I went with the 2 Devil in Disguise. His first out this year, he ran against older horses in that non-2, non-3 allowance. Yep. And I said that day, I thought if he'd had a race under his belt, he might have even beat Stormy Canuck. Stormy Canuck had the race, and Stormy Canuck is a really tough older horse, and he just got beat by a length and a half by him and gave him a really good run. Now he's got that start, drops back into 3-year-olds. I think he's the horse to beat there. I think he looks really tough. Second spot, I have Clear the Runway. A horse who ran second to Taylor's Deal, who is probably the best 3-year-olds here at Hastings right now. Came back when there was a race without Taylor's Deal, won pretty handily, won quite comfortably. Now he comes back in to the 3-year-old, or next stake, I should say. Yeah. No Taylor's Deal again, but I have him in second spot. I think Devil in Disguise can get the better of him. And in the third spot, a horse that I know is dying to stretch his legs, Mysterious Soul. He should be flying late. I really like the way this horse, I love his style, and I think he'll be picking up the pieces, charging at him late. I don't know if he can get by a Devil in Disguise or Clear the Runway, as he's fairly lightly raced as of yet, but definitely got a lot of talent, and he'll be running at him late. Yeah,
I agree with you 100% in this race. I see it the same way, 2, 5, and 4. Devil in Disguise, definitely off his Stormy Canuck race, has to be loved in here. He shouldn't mind the distance change to a mile and a 16th. He just has the 1 race under his belt, but we'll see if that's enough. But definitely live in here. He has good positional type speed. Boy, he was sitting close to a 44 and 4 opening half, so he can sit close. He won't let the Gov and Clear the Runway and get too far away, and that's a plus in Devil in Disguise's corner. So tactically, he's has an advantage, as well as being probably the best horse in the race. Number 5, Clear the Runway, I've got in for second as well. Good win in the Jim Coleman Province. kind of all out to defeat, unquiet, but a little worried about his distance limitations. He is by Broken Vow out of a Dynaformer mare, which says distance, but
Shouldn't be a problem
just
now.
by the way he's, I don't know, he still has to prove it, but
Yeah.
his mile run in the Canadian Juvenile was not his best at Northlands last year, but perhaps things went amiss, and he was obviously given the rest of the year off, so perhaps he didn't fare, so obviously didn't fare well, but maybe now that he's on a bit of a roll, good, like he's mentioned, good second to Taylor Steele, good win last time, he's progressing, but still he needs to avoid a pace duel. And I put Mysterious Soul in for third. You're right, he does want to go long. Is it too early to be in stakes races? Probably. He probably could hit the next step, and then onwards a one other than, but those races aren't going long, so as there is an allowance race earlier in the card, but it is 6.5 furlongs. But he's a horse that he ran 5 to 6 deep turning for home. He didn't get the best of trips.
Tough
Richard
to say
rode him
because
with a lot of confidence.
yeah, tough to say. He looked great in his maiden break, and then he comes out and he does tackle stakes coming, his second start of his life, but it's short. Right, so at least now he's got a better shot at.
No, it's more on his turf going long, more at his playing field. So I went 2, 5, and 4. I definitely agree with Devil in Disguise.
Right
definitely the one to beat. Greg Tracy's Clear the Runway for second, and Mysterious Soul for third. On to the 8th and final. We do have 4,000 non-twos in here. Fillies and mares going 6.5 furlongs. I went to the 5-horse Hula Hoop Girl. I liked her last time. I'm going to follow her back. She won pretty comfortably in a maiden 3 grander. This is obviously a little tougher, but I don't see it super tough for pace. I think she can get to the lead again. Fenella Blossom isn't great out of the gate. Breakaway Pass, leaving there. She's okay. But Hula Hoop Girl, other than that, those are the only 2 fillies she has to challenge for the lead. So I like Hula Hoop Girl to get the lead, maybe to defeat Fenella Blossom and Breakaway Pass. I went 5-3-2.
I agree with you with Hula Hoop Girl. I put Hula Hoop Girl on top. I have Lasting in second. I think Lasting, this is her spot, right? Yep. This is exactly where she's going to run. She gets Amadeo Perez, always very dangerous. So I put Lasting in second, and I put Fenella Blossom in third. A horse that's, didn't have the best of it last time. She kind of broke bad, then rushed up into a pretty quick pace and was just much the best and drew away from him. So I think she's progressing, and I think she can be right there at this level. There's another one fits perfectly right for the 4,000 on 2.
Yeah, I know.
So it's 5, 6, and 3 for me. We both agree on Hula Hoop Girl.
Hula Hoop Girl.
And that'll do it for the Saturday card.
Yeah, Saturday, June the 2nd. Up next on screen will be a total. All of our 8 selections. We'll start off with me. Off from the back of the first race, I went to the 3 Princess Rainier over the 5 and 4. In the second race, I went 6, 7, 8. The 6 horses take a back road for Greg Tracy. In the third race, I went to the 7 Rebster, 7, 2, and 1. In the fourth race, number 5 Unquiet, trying to call him a gate-to-wire winner, I went 5, 4, and 2. In the fifth race, what I think is the toughest race on the card, I went 5, 3, and 9. The 5 is Leighton Storm. In the sixth race, I went 6, 11, 7. 6 is the Wiley Veteran Evaluate. And in the 7th race, the River Rock Casino Stake, I went 2, 5, and 4. The 2 is Devil in Disguise. And the 8th and final, I went to the 5, Hula Hoop Girl, 5, 3, 2.
And where we go, on to my picks. In the first, I went with the 4 Diva Ballerina for a 3rd straight win on top of the 1 and 2. In the second, I went with the 4 Serendipity Grove on top of the 6 and 2. In the third, I agree with Mike, the 7 Revster on top of the 2 and 1. In the fourth, I went with number 3 Gimme Dat on top of the 2 and 5. In the fifth, I went with the 9 Ice Tiger over the 5 and 10. The sixth race, I went way outside of the 11 Modest Dancer over the 6 and 7. In the 7 again, agreeing with Mike, the 2 Devil in Disguise over the 5 and 4. And actually, I agree with Mike on the late double here. In the 8th race, I have the 5 Hula Hoop Girl over the 6 and 3.
Well, thanks everyone for tuning in to Handicappers Corner. We wish everyone lots of luck in your Saturday selections. Hopefully your wallet's a little thicker than it was Saturday morning, which will lead you into Sunday's program, in which that'll be our next show. So please do stay tuned and do watch our Sunday, June the 3rd program. That'll be coming up shortly. On behalf of Drew, I'm Mike Heads. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time here on Handicappers Corner.
I got the horse right here, the name is Paul Revere, and here's a guy that says if the weather's clear, can do, this guy says the horse can do. If he says the horse can do, can do, can do.
I'm picking Valentine, 'cause on the morning, big